Good afternoon. My name is Alejandro Gutierrez. I am super excited to be able to present to you my program learning outlines and how all of my work that I have done over this master's program in education, how it aligns to our program learning outcomes that we have for this program. I'm going to explain a little bit what they mean in the following slides, but I really appreciate you viewing this presentation. Let's get started. So to get started with this, I am a high school Spanish teacher, secondary level Spanish teacher in Sacramento, California, and I am in my sixth year of teaching, and I'm completing this program today. I have taught in the same school throughout my time, and then I was given the opportunity to do this master's program, which has helped me tremendously because I'm able to use some of the experience that I have learned, some of the experience that I have gained, and then whatever I learned from here, I've started to apply it directly, immediately into my program. So we'll get started with the slides. So if you can see right here, you'll see the different assignments that I have chosen according to the classes that I've taken. I'll explain that into greater detail. The first class that we take is the MA 610, which is Plan of Study and Practitioner Research. This class right here gets us ready for the program, and we culminate with this class that we're in now, which is MAE 670. Based on the plan of study going into the program, I had really no idea what classes I was going to take, and planning with my advisor and the professor at the time, I was able to create this plan on the classes that I was going to take. I know I was going to do an SEL um, program, which I was going to take three classes that were SEL, which is social emotional learning, which I was excited about because I wanted to know more about this, and I'm now actually use that day in and day out in my classroom. So the first one, as you can see, is a plan of study. The plan of study is something that we use, and I chose this one. I think I chose it as an introduced level of mastery. Put this video right here, and I chose this because it was something new to me. I've never been able to choose my classes like that for a program, but I was also able to see what the PLOs were. And the PLOs are number one, integrate advanced approaches to instruction, assessment, and learning using digital tools and skills. Number two is to design learning experiences that include learner characteristics, principles of customized learning, and assessment as learning. Number three was to apply practitioner research methods to study and inform instruction in traditional and digital learning environments. And the last one is PLO4, which is to develop reflective practices that are grounded in current learning science research, professional ethics, and include pathways to continuous growth. I chose, like I said, PLO1 because I thought that this was something new to me. It was introduced to me, and it was also the PLO1 because it was integrate advanced approaches to instruction. And so how I was going to use the learning, I was going to learn about assessments in classrooms, and obviously using digital tools and skills. So this is one that I chose for the PLO number one, which is the plan of study. In the second slide, we go to which is the second class, which is ITI 670, which is Introduction to SEL, which is the Introduction to Social Emotional Learning. And I chose this artifact, which is where we were given the assignment to create a video and a presentation. A presentation was to be presented through a video, and this was about social emotional learning. And we explained the terminology, the background, the need of implementing SEL in the classrooms. And there was a lot of research around implementing SEL in elementary schools, but then there's somewhere where it kind of dies off and it doesn't connect to the secondary schools. And so that was where I came in, and I was really interested in this. How can I use this in my teaching career? And I chose a PLO3. So I aligned it with applying practitioner research methods to study and inform instruction. And because I said, based on the research that I created, the research that I gained, the research that I was looking for, I was able to apply it into the classroom. And so we created this slide. I was to break down the different competencies of the Castle Circle, which is the five competencies based on collaborative academic. It's a collaborative for academics of social emotional learning. So different things that we use, and I think I chose introducing and developing just because I felt like I was already doing this in my classroom. I felt like I've already had some experience with this, and that's why I chose the developing part of the mastery. Slide number three, it was the next artifact that we have on the list. And this is obviously also from the same class, Introduction to SEL. And I chose the action research brainstorm, which I didn't have a lot of experience at all with research um, at this capacity and using APA 7 and different formats that I had no idea about. I didn't even know what a peer reviewed journal was before I started this. So I chose Introduced. And I chose that in line with PLO4 because it developed reflective practices that are grounded in current learning science research, professional ethics, and include pathways to continuous growth. And so, because of this, it introduced me into this world of research and how this was used in the educational world, which I had no idea how to do before. And so, here you see the assignment that I chose. We were to find different articles that could match keywords that could be somewhere around the research that I wanted to do. So I chose like middle school social emotional skills, relationship building, and then I was able to go find these different articles to read based on that. And the next class, the second class was SEL in Action, ITI 672. In this one, we were to do an annotated bibliography, which I chose that I was introduced slash developed just because um, there was some knowledge now based on the other assignment that I just did with the action research brainstorm. But then the problem statement that we had to create was to we had to analyze a topic and then go find peer reviewed articles that were based on this topic. And so it kind of gave me some really in-depth idea of what I was looking forward to in the last class, which is where we were going to create a research proposal, which we did in this course. I chose PLO3 because, like I said, it gave me the opportunity to apply my practitioner research methods, um, and then obviously use that in a digital and learning environment. I chose another one from the same class. The SEL strategies box. This one helps me a lot because we were to create slides with an audio, and we were going to present this to the class. But we were to really dive into what the 5 SEL components were, the competencies were, based on the castle, like I said before. So it's collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning. And then these slides were all different. So we chose like relationship building skills, social awareness, self awareness, self management, and responsible decision making. And based on those 5, we were to integrate different activities that teachers could do with their students. And it could have, and it was like the biggest thing was to sell this to our peers at school in a way that was like, we're not going to do more work. We're actually going to get more from it if we just apply these little strategies within our lessons already. So I chose 2 because we designed learning experiences, and we did. I mean, I had to go in there and really research different activities that I could do based on the type of competencies that I wanted to apply in my classroom, which I'm doing already. The research in ESEL. So, like I said, the problem statement came up again. We were to choose a problem statement, we were to review it, and then we were supposed to find the problem statement that actually dealt with our school. So, we had to find something at our school that we thought, this is a problem right now. This is something that we could solve based on research and based on applying some new methodology. And so, I was able to go find 5 peer-reviewed articles, and I had to do that. I felt like we developed this. I was developing a mastery in this, and so that's why I put developing for this one. And I chose 4 because I'm reflecting on practices that are grounded in science research. So it wasn't like, well, I think this is going to work because kids need this. No, I had to actually find the research behind it. This is a class that was a lot different for me because this is the ECE 653, which is the best early childhood education teaching practices. And as a secondary teacher, I did have some experience with elementary schools, but not as much as I would like. I do have an elementary student at my home, at my son, and so I do like to see some of these strategies and like see how they are being used. We were to interview a teacher that was a colleague and interview a teacher that was a mentor. And so I had to find someone on campus that I deal with a lot who's a colleague, and then someone that was like, you know what, I look up to this teacher when I have a question. I don't have such a great relationship with them, but I'm able to always reach out to them for like very specific questions. And I thought that was really cool. It was a very professional relationship that I like to keep. And so I felt this is developing because I was able to um, use the interview as a way to find the different strategies that were being used in the classroom. I had specific questions I was going to ask around IEPs, um, around teaching intentionally, which I had like some idea about already, but I didn't know to what extent other teachers use them. And so this is where we apply practitioner research methods, right? And this is based on research and what other teachers have done, other researchers have done. And so we're applying this in the classroom. And I felt that's what PLO3. So the interview was cool because we were able to talk to two teachers, and then from there find like a connection between them, and then also realize like how different our strategies are as well, but how they can all be used. And so I feel like we're all a mix of what we have learned from other teachers as well. 604 ITI 604 is learners and learning one, because there's a two-part class. And this one right here, this assignment was really difficult. It was a sim school website where you, during the pandemic, this website was created. I don't know if it was created, but it was definitely implemented through this program. And the professor stated that teachers weren't allowed to go to classrooms, obviously, for student teaching. So it's like a program where you are seeing 8 to 10 students, and they all have their own backgrounds, they have their own language, they have their own history, they have their own educational experience, they have their own um, supports that are needed. And so because of all that, we were able to, like, we had to teach this class online. And so the students would raise their hand. It's all digital. They were just sims, or you would call them avatars, right? Like, characters. And so this was more difficult than teaching in the real classroom, because in the real classroom you have a relationship with the students. In the real classroom, you know how much to approach a student, you know how much not to approach a student. And this one, like, you would gauge their feelings based on the computer, and so you had to click on them and ask them what they were doing. Hey, how are you? Okay. And then apply something, and then give them affirmation. And it was a lot. I think it was harder to do it on the computer than to do in real person. But because, I think in person, once you have experience with the classroom and you build this rapport with the students, you kind of know who needs more support than others, what kind of support they need, what kind of lessons work, what kind of lessons don't work. And so this was tough, but it was a good assignment for me to get some more field experience on, I would say, a more strenuous situation. And I could see, how much application of supports are needed. And so then after that, the good piece was that we were able to collaborate with another peer, not just a discussion board, but actually email or Zoom the other person and actually talk about, work on a Google Doc together of like, hey, how did you feel about this? How did you feel about that? And I feel like, collaboration is a huge piece that really helps me at my school. So I chose PLO1 because it integrates approaches to instruct assessment and learning using digital tools. So obviously, we're collaborating online. We are assessing each other. We are assessing we are being assessed through this program. And so this is a really cool way to kind of put that all together. So I developed this because it was a developing mastery, because I have done this already in person a little bit. And the discussion board was a good way to develop a relationship as well, but not enough. It was just, one little interaction. 606, learners and learning two. And so this one was a really strenuous activity where we had to focus on 3 students, one with the 504 plan, one as an English language learner, and one student that we felt just had a special situation that needed more attention. So I felt that the student that I have right now, who's a foster student, who's dealt with a lot, who's shared a lot of stories with me, I felt this was my, special situation that I have to really focus on. We had to visit 7 different theories, learning theories. The one I chose to highlight here was differentiating instruction, because this is the one I actually used for my practitioner research proposal for this class. And so, based on the learning theory, we had to decide how much engagement was being done, representation of the students, and action and expression. And then from there, we also had to find out how this learning theory would apply to the 3 focused students. So now you're talking about how to adapt it for 3 different situations: 504 plan, ELL, and a student with a special situation who might need more attention. So this was very strenuous, because we had to do this for every single theory. I mean, there was all kinds of different learning theories that we applied, and then the one I said that I chose to share here was differentiating instruction, and it helped me because it really helped me reflect on what I do in the classroom, and then like really gave me an idea of like, oh man, I shouldn't be doing this, or actually I should be doing more of this. So really cool assignment, and I felt that I mastered this because of the connection I have with my students, knowing what they need, experience I have in the classroom, and just the overall experience with differentiating instruction and the different learning theories that we visited in this class. So connect that to PLO1 because we integrate advanced approaches to instruction. And for another one is another support and strategies. I felt like we were still developing this. This is from the same course, Learning Learners and Learning 2, the part 2 of the class. This is where we had to actually identify the 3 focus students that I mentioned previously, and then like decide the gaps that we needed to fill based on their learning goals, based on their grade level, based on what we're looking from them. And we use just different databases, such as Infinite Campus, where you can see their testing scores, where we can see their reading levels, where we can see their grades, where I could see behavior interactions, different things that I felt the student could use to do I would say better and be more successful in their classes. So these were two out of three of these students were really struggling in the classroom, and they struggle frequently because of their needs not being met by teachers. So I try to come up with a plan to help them. How can I integrate technology to help them if they like that? How to find another club for them on campus to create belongingness? So I felt like we were developing here. I think after this course, I'll be able to change it to an M as a mastered, because I feel like this is something we can't do for every. I haven't done for each student, but if we did, students would be more successful. And going back, that's design learning experiences. So I'm designing how the student will do well based on what they need, their characteristics, their customized learning that they need based on their program they're in, based on what kind of classes they're taking and their interest. The last one is this class, the MAE 670. And for this course, I was to create a practitioner research proposal, which I felt like after doing this a couple times with the peer reviewed articles, it wasn't new to me, but I felt like with the support from the professor, instructor Yes, right? Shout out to instructor Yes for giving me the feedback like, hey, you're missing this. There's a little bit of formatting here that need to be done. The templates that were shared, the different ideas that were given to us on how to implement the study table. And I had no idea how I was going to put all this into one piece of paper, one paper assignment, but I was able to. So I feel like I mastered that based on just how much in detail I was able to describe this. And I feel like one day maybe I'm ready to go for this and find a way to get some research done on what I needed for, I feel like on mine, I chose, how differentiating instruction of Spanish as a foreign language and the measurement of relationship building skills in middle school age learners. So there's a lot of things, moving pieces there that I feel like I have experience with that I feel you can't find much research on at all, because, foreign language is different. Some schools don't teach foreign language in middle schools. And then obviously the way it's instructed and how important it is to implement relationship building skills, that was important to me. And so I chose PLO3 because it applies practitioner research methods. And because of all the experience I had throughout the program doing this, I felt like I was able to get to that point of mastery. So that's my last slide. I appreciate you viewing this video. Have a great day.